driving down the street and I'll see a kid walking down the street with my shirt on from my tour, and I'll just stop my car and be like, hey, nice shirt.
An unexpected stop made by Taylor Swift on a warm afternoon in the Nashville suburbs will forever alter someone's life. It was the start of a touching and incredibly emotional tale that no one could have foreseen, not simply another brief celebrity encounter. The majority of Sophie's 14-year-old life was spent daydreaming about music and the good old days in a peaceful suburban area just outside of Nashville. To others who witnessed her conducting errands with her father or strolling through the neighborhood park, she appeared to be just another adolescent. Behind her reserved exterior, however, was a tale of fortitude and unsaid sorrow. Sophie and her father, Michael, shared a small two-bedroom house. Her father put in a lot of overtime as a mechanic to support them, frequently working double shifts. Sophie's mother was her anchor, her best friend, and the person who first introduced her to music before she died 3 years ago. And not just any music, but the music of Taylor Swift. Taylor's music was more than just catchy tunes to Sophie. It was her lifeblood. As she baked cookies or cleaned the house, her mother would sing along to "The Best Day." Sophie would listen to "Daylight" when she was feeling overwhelmed and picture her mother's voice telling her to remain strong. Taylor's songs served as a link to those recollections, providing solace and optimism when everything else seemed lost. Although Sophie was a huge fan of Taylor Swift, she had never attended a show. Her family was just not able to afford the tickets. In order to get an official concert t-shirt from Taylor's most recent tour for her 14th birthday, her father had been saving money for months. Sophie's most cherished item was the shirt. Wearing it over her pajamas or with her favorite jeans, she wore it whenever she could. She clung tenaciously to it since it was more than simply a clothing. The garment represented her relationship with her mother and her love for Taylor, whose songs seemed to speak right to her. Even if it's only in the distant future, Sophie would often repeat to herself, "One day I'll see her." She held fast to a private, quiet fantasy that she knew might never materialize. Sophie didn't have a really good time. She was the reserved back-row girl who seldom ever raised her hand at school. She loved music and wore the same old concert t-shirt over and over again, but her classmates didn't get it. They would occasionally make comments about her in whispers that hurt more than she revealed. Sophie didn't care, though. She was always prepared to lose herself in Taylor's music when the outside world became too harsh, so she always had her headphones with her. Humming "You Belong With Me," she would assist in the garage when her dad was working late, sweeping the floor and arranging the tools. She had a simple routine, yet she had vivid dreams. Sophie would spend her evenings speculating about what it would be like to be at a stadium with thousands of fans, the atmosphere charged with excitement as Taylor took the stage. She could picture the crowd roaring and the sound pulsing through her chest. Selfies and signatures weren't important to her. What mattered was being a part of something greater, something that let her realize she wasn't alone. Her father would frequently observe her from the doorway, taking in the distant expression in her eyes as she gently sang along to her favorite tunes. Although he was aware of her strong desire to see Taylor in person, he was troubled by the fact that they were not wealthy. Despite his pride and tendency to keep his feelings to himself, Michael occasionally sat at the kitchen table after Sophie had gone to bed and wished he could do more for her. In order to get some supplies for dinner, Sophie made the decision one Saturday afternoon to walk to the local market. She had a reusable bag slung over her shoulder and a little list from her dad. With her beloved Taylor Swift concert tee on, she hummed to herself while the sun warmed her back. The day was calm, the type that normally went by without any problems. While strolling, Sophie contemplated the approaching weekend. Sophie had turned down her friend's invitation to going to the city mall. She didn't want to put her father through unnecessary costs, even for something as basic as a movie ticket. Instead, she intended to engage in an old pastime she had lately rekindled, sketching in her notebook while listening to music on Saturday afternoon. Sophie loved walking to the market, which was just a few blocks away. The street's trees shook in the wind, their leaves creating amusing shadows on the concrete. Beside her, a sleek black automobile slowed to a stop as she went onto Main Street. Sophie was so absorbed in her thoughts that she initially failed to notice. A voice then called out to her, "Hey, nice shirt." Turning, she found herself peering at the driver's window, perplexed. Her heart pumped faster. Taylor Swift herself was behind the wheel, grinning kindly and sporting sunglasses. Sophie hesitated, wondering if she was dreaming. It was real, though. The silence was broken once more by Taylor Swift's distinctive voice. Taylor responded kindly, "That's one of my favorite designs from the tour." Taylor stopped and got out, approaching Sophie in a relaxed but sincere manner. "What is your name?" With a small head tilt, she questioned. "Sophie?" She stumbled, still not believing it. Taylor lowered down a little to look Sophie in the eyes. "Sophie, I'm glad to have met you. Which song is your favorite, please?" Sophie hesitated for a time, then found her voice. "The Best Day," she murmured quietly. "It was my mother's beloved. She used to perform that for me." Taylor grinned more kindly. She remarked, "Your mother had excellent musical taste. She seems like a wonderful person." According to Sophie, the concert shirt was the closest she had ever been to seeing a live performance, and she related how she and her mother became close through Taylor's songs. Taylor paid close attention as her face changed to one of intense sympathy. With a comforting hand on Sophie's shoulder, Taylor added softly, "Your mum would be so proud of you. You don't realize how strong you are." Then, with something in her hands, Taylor made her way back to her car. A signed tour jacket gleamed in the midday light. She said, "This is for you," and held it out. "I hope this serves as a reminder to persevere because you have endured so much." Sophie's eyes were watering, and she gripped the jacket tightly. She found what was happening unbelievable. "Sophie, you're incredible," Taylor remarked, giving her a gentle hug. "Never lose sight of that." A handwritten message was given to Sophie by Taylor before she left. It said, "To Sophie, remain bright. You don't realize how strong you are. Taylor, lots of love." Sophie placed the note and the jacket in her room that night, and they became a daily reminder of the amazing occasion. She kept the recollection near and dear to her heart, therefore she didn't share it with many people. Sophie's optimism was rekindled after the experience. It was the first time in a long time that she felt appreciated and seen. She had learned from Taylor's generosity that even in the most dire circumstances, light could shine through in the most surprising ways. If you were moved by this story, please remember to subscribe for more touching stories that highlight the importance of connection and kindness. We can tell the world about these stories thanks to your sponsorship.